Hello, welcome back to Global Freakin Pandemic Yoga. This is episode number 58. 58. That's crazy. That's crazy. But we're on day like 240 something since this all started last March. So I guess it's all relative, but 240 something days of quarantining, sort of, right? And episode 58 of Global Freakin Pandemic Virtual Yoga. So, if you have been with me through all 58 episodes, that's amazing. Thank you so much, because I think these classes are kind of weird. I know I talk a lot and I get off track sometimes, and I'm much more comfortable in person than I am talking to my phone like this. But if you have even done a quarter of the classes, if you've even done 4 of the classes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. These classes are brought to you courtesy of the Cedar Grove Public Library. So if you stop in at the library, be sure to thank them and let them know if you're enjoying the classes. You're going to get to see this tomorrow, Saturday, but today is Friday the 13th. Woo! Crazy, right? Friday the 13th. My best friend found a ladybug today, so we're thinking that that means it's not going to be so bad. It's really rainy and gray and cold and raw. It's my dad's favorite weather word, raw. Today is raw. So my plan for today is to do our hippie strap opener pose, which we haven't done in a while, our strappy hip opener pose, I should have said, as well as just some nice seated deep stretches because it's cold and gross and everything on me feels kind of tight and uncomfortable. I was out early this morning. I got in 5 miles. I got soaking wet, but everything is just tight. So I've been playing around with some yoga on my own today, and I think my squat challenge for the American Cancer Society is making me extra tight too in my low back. And I just thought today some seated forward bends, some twisting, some things like that might feel really good. So we're going to do that. Grab your strap if you have one. If you don't have one, we'll improvise, but it's better if you have something. You can use a belt or a scarf or a really long piece of sturdy ribbon would even work. If you don't have a yoga strap though, and you plan on continuing to practice even after hopefully this is done, you can buy one on Amazon really cheap, and it's definitely something that you'll use. So try to get an 8-foot one with the double metal strap, metal hooks, not hooks, but like loops on the end. That's what you need. So grab your strap, take a minute, unroll your mat, get a blanket or a towel to sit on, and I will meet you in your spots in just a minute. Okay? I was freezing before, so I have on a long sleeve top. I have on a t-shirt. I have on my favorite black old wide leg yoga pants, which are comfy and cozy. And now I'm kind of warm because I turned up the heat because I was really cold when I got back from my walk. I was like hot shower cold, like that was the only thing that could make me feel better. And I turned up the heat, and I tend to turn up the heat to the point of dehydrating the people that live here. Because I can't stand being cold. And then it got really warm, so now I turn the heat down, but I'm still dressed really warm. So I don't know if I'm comfortable or not. I can't decide. But like I said, it's super gross, it's super rainy. This whole week has been like this, right? So I don't know about you, but this whole week I have noticed tightness in the back of my legs where I'm usually not tight. For sure, tightness in my hip flexors, which I think may be from the squat challenge I'm doing for the month of November. Because I normally do squats when I do Tabata or strength training, but I don't normally do 50 in one day. I normally do maybe 30 every other day. I don't know. So I think that's causing me to be tight. And I also think it's affecting my low back a little bit because my low back has been super tight. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when things are going on with me physically, like those things, I crave certain yoga poses. I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but I crave the feeling that I'm going to get when I do a certain pose. So I can watch a video, I can watch, like a 2-minute clip of my best friend doing yoga or her sister doing yoga, and I'll just see something, even like a picture in Yoga Journal magazine, and I'll just think, oh, that looks like it would feel so good. And that's kind of where I'm at today, and that's kind of where I'm hoping you're at today too. And I'm hoping that for the next little bit of time that we're together, the poses I lead you through are things that you're craving. And maybe you didn't even know you were, but then once we get into them, you're going to settle, and it's just going to feel really good. Really, really good. Something you didn't know you needed, and you needed it, right? So you're lying on your back. Arms are at your side, palms up. And you're just going to find your breath and let your body settle onto your mat. So with every inhale, fill up. With every exhale, let yourself settle down and get heavier and leave a deeper imprint on your mat. If your mat was wet sand, you'd want to leave a nice deep imprint. So when you climbed off the mat, it was like a sand angel print, like a snow angel, but in sand. Like you want that heaviness. You want to feel that way. And you'll probably feel that way more so at the end of class than you do right now, which is fine. That means you had a great class, but you still want a little bit of that right now. You want that deep of a surrender. Yeah? So find your breath. Take a minute here to just think about your day so far. Think about how you're feeling physically. Think about where you are mentally. I feel like I've been saying this for 58 virtual classes. I guess I have, but there's just so much going on, right? Like there's so much to think about. There's so much to pull apart and dissect and just kind of sink your teeth into in the news, except I don't know about for you, but for me, it's too much. It's too much. I'm kind of on a need to know basis right now. Like I'm done watching the news. I'm basically done reading anything but the entertainment section of the newspaper for a little while. Limiting my social media. I'm kind of into binging in Netflix and getting ready to watch Christmas movies on Hallmark, because honestly it makes my brain hurt. Everything makes my brain hurt. If there are certain guidelines or lockdown things that we need to be doing, I need to know that, but other than that, I don't want to follow it all. It's too much. So if you're feeling that way, then mentally you may just feel jammed, overwhelmed, like just too crazy inside your head. And that's important to note, right? That's just as important to note as if you're as noting that your right hip is really tight, or that your hamstrings feel like they're going to snap today. Just important to know. So when you come to your mat and you come to your practice, you want to take a quick inventory and just take note of anything that's off, so that not only can you try to work through it during your practice, but at the end of practice, you can take another quick inventory and hopefully notice some relief, right? Some space. I like to say that when we practice yoga, we create space where there wasn't space before. And that doesn't just mean in your hip socket or behind your knee. It means in your head. It means in your heart. It means in your whole being, not just your physical being. Take a couple more deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. You hear me just crack my foot? Might have actually been my toe, but something cracked on my foot. Oh, you heard it again? I think I finally have found 2 new pairs of running shoes to replace my old ones. This is a big saga in my life. Every 6 months or so, I have to replace my running shoes. And I don't know why it's so tricky. I mean, there are times when I've ordered the exact same style shoe and size that I've been currently wearing because I love them so much, and when I get them, they're awful and I can't possibly wear them. It's a lot of going back and forth with Amazon and finding the right shoes. But I think I have settled on a bright pink and orange pair from ASICS, which I like, as well as a really ugly navy blue and orange pair of Adidas that I found in the boys department at Marshall's. But they are literally the spongiest, comfiest under your heel running shoe I've ever found in my whole life. So, you see me out early in the morning pounding the pavement in my really ugly running shoes. They're from the little boys department in Marshall's. True fact. All right, pull your knees in, but leave your arms out wide in the big T, palms up. Let your knees drop over to the right, coming into a twist. Nice deep twist here so that you're feeling this in the mid-back all the way down into your tailbone area, right? You want this twist to go the whole length of your spine. And you want to make sure that your shoulders are staying grounded and that your legs are settling really nicely on the floor on the side of you and that they're stacking. Inner knee to inner knee, inner ankle to inner ankle, inner heel to inner heel, inner arch to inner arch. You want everything to line up and stack like cookies that you cut out with a cookie cutter that are exactly the same shape. You know, I mean, you're not exactly the same shape from side to side, but you want to stack like you are. Trying to think in my head. So Thanksgiving is 2 weeks from yesterday, correct? So next Saturday is our before Thanksgiving class. So I know this is a little bit premature since we just started this class, but next week we're going to focus on twisting, because twisting can come in really handy on a super delicious, yummy holiday like Thanksgiving, where you may be tempted to eat a little bit more than usual and you get that full gross awful feeling. Twisting can help. So we'll talk about that a little more next week, but we're going to focus on twisting next week, so keep that in mind. I like twisting. Twisting always feels good. Bring your knees up to center. Come on into a happy baby, or one hand on each kneecap, going wide, letting the weight of your arms pull you wide so the bottoms of your feet are facing up towards the ceiling and your knees are coming down towards your underarm area. I wish it's about 2:10 right now. I wish I could say my day was over today, because it's just one of those days where it would be super nice to make popcorn and just watch movies with the boys all night, but sadly no. Cam has swim from 3:30 to 4:45, and then Alex has swim from 7 to 8:30. Mike is working super late tonight, so I'm the swim taxi, but in between the boys swim, I have to feed Cam, get him showered, get him in jammies, and then we have to run to ShopRite because Alex will now only eat grilled chicken, sweet potatoes, and a vegetable. And we are out of all three of those things. So unless he's going to starve to death this weekend, we have to go replenish his food supply. So that's super fun. So by the time we get home tonight, it will be close to 9, and everyone will be cranky. Bring your knees up to center and come on into your happy baby, or one hand on each kneecap. And this time, make some small circles on your low back. See, I don't know if you can notice, but I can see myself doing it in the camera. I'm instinctively moving side to side a little bit. And sometimes, that's not an official yoga pose, but sometimes just that gentle hip to hip from the back of one hip to the other side and back again just feels really good, and it's a super nice release. And even when you're lying on your back like you are right now, just that little bit of pressure can help release your low back if it's feeling super tight. Okay, bring the soles of your feet together. Bring your feet down to the ground. Let your knees drop out to the sides. Bring your arms into cactus for just a couple of deep breaths. How are you guys doing with Christmas shopping? Thank goodness for Amazon this year, because I really don't want to go out more than I have to, into stores at least. And Amazon is amazing. At any given moment, there's like $200 worth of products in my cart, and then I make up my mind on all that stuff, and I buy it and have it sent, and then I start loading the cart again. So at any given moment, there's a full cart waiting for me to purchase. I just need to hit the button and make 100% sure that that's the stuff I want, because I don't want to have to go to UPS store and return stuff. But I've gotten a lot done in the last couple weeks, mostly for the kids. I think I'm in pretty good shape. So I am definitely simplifying it this year. There's a lot of people that we won't see that we might normally see who are just sort of like, oh, here's a gift because we're seeing you, like a lame gift kind of thing. And I think I'm cutting all that out. I'm going to take advantage of COVID to cut all of that out. So we'll see. Okay, now lengthen your legs out long in front of you. Bring your arms up above you. Interlace your fingers. Press up. Press out through your palms and point your toes at the wall in front of you. So you're one long stretch on your back from the hips down. Hips down, out through the toes. Hips up, out through the palms of the hands. On the inhale, stretch in either direction. On the exhale, settle. And do 2 or 3 inhales. So inhale, reach out, reach back. And then when you exhale, settle down into the mat. Ooh, super tight on the side of my shoulder. All right, roll up to a comfortable seated position. Come into your wide-legged stance, your wide-legged seated stance like I am. I am perched up on the edge of one of my folded blankets. That helps me, might help you too, might annoy you. It's totally up to you to decide what you want to do. I don't know if you can see my sweatshirt or not, but I've had it for a couple years, and it's an ironic sweatshirt, as Mike calls it, because it's intentionally cut up. I don't know if you can see, but it's intentionally got holes in it. And I bought it that way because I liked the look. I like how it looks when I wear it over a white t-shirt, which I'm not doing today. But I guess Cam doesn't remember ever seeing me wear it before, because I walked out of our bedroom before and he was standing there. And he was like, wow, that looks really old. Kind of raggedy. Do you need a new black sweatshirt for Christmas? I was like, no, it's intentional, but thanks. Thanks, you're still wearing your jammies and you haven't brushed your hair in 8 months, so thanks with your fashion advice. All right, you're in your wide-legged stance. Take your hands, warm them up, reach underneath your hips, pull your butt cheeks out to the sides so that you're sitting up straighter and you're sitting up on those bones that are in there. It's a little tiny, subtle difference, but it enables you to sit up a little straighter and a little bit taller, more comfortably for a longer period of time, and that's what we want. So what we're going to do is just start in a bowl motion. We're going to go clockwise. So we're mixing the bowl, going clockwise. So I got a lot of interesting feedback from you guys on last week's class, the downward dog into different poses class. You seem to really like that. I'm glad you did. I've never taught a class based on that before in 15 years. I don't know why, because I like thinking about what you can do from dog, because I love dog, but I'm glad you really liked it, and I'll try to think of another one so that we can do it soon. Go the other way. Has anyone started watching Hallmark movies yet? I love Hallmark Christmas movies. I think they just make you feel really good, even though they're predictable, and you always know the ending, and you always know that there's going to be a cute town with a cute bakery and a gala and puppies and, you know, someone who loses their job in the city and goes to visit their Aunt Suzanne, and then they move to the city, the town forever. You know what's going to happen. Come to the middle and start to go front to back. They still make you feel good. They make me feel good, at least. But I try my best to not start watching them until after Thanksgiving. Even Thanksgiving night, I'll start watching one. But I try not to do it before Thanksgiving, because then I tend to overdose and hate them by the time the middle of December rolls around, and I don't want that to happen. So this year, it's a little bit trickier for me. Now you're going to come right down to the middle. It's a little trickier for me because we ditched our cable provider. So we only have Verizon for internet. We don't have cable anymore. We have a Fire Stick, and we have a bunch of streaming services. We have YouTube TV, we have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have I think a sports one maybe, we have Disney Plus. So the other day I had to go online and subscribe to Hallmark so that I have the app on my iPad and my phone so that I can watch Christmas movies, because I guess now I can watch them on the TV too because I have the app. We can find it on TV, but it's a little bit different and it's not quite as accessible. There's a little more work you have to put into it before you can just pop on a movie. So I think I'm safe this year. I don't think I'm going to end up hating them by December 15th. I think it's going to be easier for me to ration because sometimes I'll just be lazy and not want to go through the effort. So, okay, come on up. Drop your shoulders. So I want you to crunch them up. Rotate them back behind you by bringing your shoulder blades together on your back, and then drop them. And you're just going to let your arms be heavy. So whether your arms are resting on your thighs like mine are, or whether they're down on the ground on the side of you, you just want heaviness. But you also want to feel like your shoulders are back behind you a little bit. So everything in your heart center is open. Okay? Right ear is going to come to right shoulder. And this is one of those really like ridiculously simple yoga poses that you just want to feel your way through. You know, like I feel a stretch when I do this, but if I were to just bring my ear to my shoulder, it feels good. This doesn't feel like I'm really targeting anything. When I start to just move my head back and forth a little bit, I can feel where the tightness really, really lies. And then from there, I could play with it a little bit and try to extend and reach out through the crown of my head a little bit more to really get that spot. But when you're doing this and your head is going to the right, you want to make very sure that your left hip is staying flat on the ground. You don't want to start to roll up, because then you give away half the stretch. It's like, I know this is silly, but it's sort of like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? It's the same thing. Like, it's not at all the same thing, but in my mind it's kind of the same thing. You know, like, don't give away half the stretch by letting your hip lift up. Like, challenge yourself a little. Keep the hip down, and even if it's uncomfortable, get the full benefit of the stretch, because you're doing it anyway. It's not at all the same. That was a terrible analogy. All right, roll your head behind you. Open up the front of your throat. Let your head be heavy here. Let it rest back behind you. The shoulders are still going back. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you can speak. That's how you know that you're not stretching or pushing back too much. So make sure that you can talk a little bit here. Just, you know, whisper something nice to yourself. And then bring left ear to left shoulder. So my left side, in the back, like in that space that goes from my shoulder up to my neck, my deltoid is always tighter for me on the left side, and I think it's because of the way I sleep. I sleep on a big bunch of pillows. I'm never really lying super flat, and I tend to lie on my right side. So my left side is always, like, I'm kind of always in this neck position even when I'm sleeping. So very often in the morning when I wake up, I can feel that I'm super tight on that side because I don't give it the chance to lengthen. So do the same thing. Work your way through this. Figure out where that super tight spot is, and then hang out there for a couple breaths. Just trying to get some relief in there. Even if you didn't know you needed it, you probably need it. That's nice, right? Okay, now we're going to go back to center. Drop the head back. Find your breath. And then come on up. Nice, right? Okay, so now we're going to go side to side, and we're just going to do an easy, simple side body stretch that I'm sure we've done a bunch of times. We're staying seated. We're keeping the back of both hips grounded. We're coming down onto the right forearm on the outside of the right hip. So your left hip is going to want to lift here. And you have to really, I mean, even take your left hand and manually push it down so that you know how it should feel when it's grounded. And then extend the left arm up and over, lean into the right forearm, and look up underneath that left arm. If your neck bothers you, then look straight ahead, right? That's the option with this. If your neck is okay, then twist and look up. And then come on up to center. Now we're not going to go right to the other side. We're going to go into a twist. So we're going to take our right hand to the outside of our left knee, left fingertips behind you. You want to be on your fingertips so you have full range of motion in that back shoulder. Press into the outside of the right knee. Press into the ground behind you. Sit up straight and tall, twist, and look over your left shoulder. Come on back to center, and we're going to go right down into the middle into a seated forward bend. Alright, come on up. So now we're going to do the same little tiny sequence on the other side. So we're going to make sure the back of the right hip stays grounded and flat, even pressing down with our hand if we need to so that we know how it should feel. And we're going to come down onto the outside of the left forearm, on the outside of the left hip. Right arm comes up and over. Remember what I said about your neck. If your neck is bothering you, look straight ahead. If your neck is fine, you can look up towards the ceiling and rotate a little. This is mostly a side body stretch, which means from the hip up through the underarm area. So that's where you should be feeling the nicest lengthening. Looks like it's getting brighter out. I know the weekend's supposed to be chilly, but pretty, right? Come on up. Now remember what we're going into. We're going into our little twist. So left hand to the outside of the right knee, right fingertips behind you. Find your rotation, find your twist. Perfect. Come on back to center. And then we're going to walk it down, right? Okay, so you guys are going to grab your straps and you're going to lay down on your back. Make sure you have room on either side to go out with your legs to extend out left to right, okay? We're going to do, I think, a slightly abridged version of our normal twist because otherwise you'll be down on your mat forever and ever and ever today. And like I said, it's getting a little lighter out, so you may need to run around or take a walk or do something like that in between rain. So, so grab your strap, lay on your back. You are going to put the bottoms of both feet in the strap and you're going to lift your legs straight up in the air. So you are a perfect 90-degree angle with your spine down on the mat, your legs up in the air. You're holding one strap in each hand and you're pulling down. So the toes are pulling down towards you, the heels are lifting up towards the ceiling, and the backs of your knees, you're going to press out. You're going to feel it in your hamstrings, but you're going to press out and really wake the hamstrings up and give them the chance to lengthen. Now I'm getting chilly again. I didn't sleep good last night. I was up at 3:45 this morning, and I just really had a hard time going back to bed. So by 6:30 I was ready to go for a walk. I'm a little hyper right now, but I feel like I'm going to crash soon, which is unfortunate because I told you I have double swim practice for the kids tonight and a trip to ShopRite. Okay, so now take both straps into your right hand. Slide your left leg out of the strap, bring your left leg down on the ground in front of you, and flex that foot. So you're pulling the toes back and you're pressing out through the heel. Left arm comes out to your side, palm up. So now it's up to you how you hold the strap with the right hand, but I like to straighten my right arm and reach for the strap as close to my foot as I can. And then sometimes I'll even wrap the strap around my hand so I have a really secure grip on it. But everybody has a different preference when it comes to how you hold it in this pose, and either way it's going to be a little arduous on your upper arm, so figure out what works best for you. So just like we were talking about a few minutes ago, you want to keep the back of the left hip down, you want to keep the left leg straight out in front of you, and you want to start to open up the right leg to your side. Don't let it hit the ground. Some people are so loosey-goosey in their hips that they can just let that leg hit the ground. That's not the goal. Keep the leg about a foot off the ground at the least. If it's higher, that's fine too. But keep the flex in the foot, keep the grip on the strap, keep pressing out through the backs of both your knees, and find your breath. So this is that pose where you have to hang out for a little bit in order to really feel the goodness, right? But like I said, we're going to do a slightly shorter version of it today because we did some other stuff. I don't want your whole Saturday to be about yoga. I mean, it could be, that would be nice, but sometimes you can get just as much of a benefit from doing a partial pose as you can the whole thing if you're just easing into it and have worked your way into it slowly, which we have. Just by sitting like this, which we did for quite a little bit, you're opening your hips, you're allowing them to release, and you're creating some space in there. So I know y'all are laying down, but I'm still sitting in that wide-legged position that we started in. This is a great position to sit in to fold clothes if you're doing them on your bed or on your floor. It's a great position to sit in for a lot of anything you can think of. Sometimes when I'm watching a movie, I'll get on the floor and sit like this just because, or I'll come into some kind of a yoga stance that I can comfortably hang out in for a little while because I really want to give my hips the chance to soften over time and not have it be a quick fix, and sitting like this is one of those softening over a couple minutes poses. So keep that in mind the next time you're usually folding clothes, or what it is for me. I can't believe how bright it's getting considering how horrific and gross it was this morning. My jacket was soaking wet when I got back here after walking and I was freezing. Okay, swing that leg up to center. One strap is going to come in each hand and you're going to pull down on the strap again. So again, you're going to press out through the back of your knee, pull the toes down, lift the heel high. If you hold the straps lower, you can let your arms even rest on the ground, but you want to keep a firm grip on the strap. You don't want it to get loose. You don't want to see any slack. No slack, Jack. Banged the tip of my big toe into something the other day, and it really, really, really hurt. Today it feels a lot better, but I was afraid that maybe I had hurt my toenail, and I couldn't tell because my last pedicure I got, what is this color? Darn, I can't remember what it is, but it's like a black navy color, super, super, super dark, so you can't see your nail through it. There's no sheerness at all. Oh, Lincoln Park After Dark, that's what it is. But it feels a lot better today, so I was a little bit worried that it would be really uncomfortable in my running shoes this morning, but no problem. Okay, you're going to lower that leg all the way down to the floor and just let it relax and take a second to just be still and enjoy that looseness that you created in that right hip as compared to the left hip, which maybe you didn't know was super tight and screwed up, but now that you can feel the difference and you have a point of comparison, you realize indeed it was a mess, right? Yeah. All do the left leg. So left leg straight up in the air, flex your foot, put the strap around the ball of your foot, one strap in each hand. Remember, I suggested how I like to hold it, but you can hold it however you want. I really like to hold it closer to my foot so my arms are fully extended, and to get a good grip on the strap so it doesn't slide at all. Your right arm is going to come out to your side. No, I'm sorry, we're doing two hands for a minute, right? Two hands for a minute. Breath out through the back of your knee. Pull the toes down, lift the heel high. So you even get a stretch along the arch of your foot, which is a nice little bonus here, right? Alright, now take both straps into the left hand. Bring the right arm out to the side, palm up. Make sure the back of the right hip stays down, stays grounded. Even if you have to manually hold it with your right hand and apply pressure in the hip crease or even on the quad a little bit, you can do that, but you want to really keep it grounded, and one way to do that is to make sure you're pressing out through the back of the right knee. Extend the left leg out to your side. Remember, the rule is to only go as low as you can without the opposite hip lifting. For our purposes, we're just going to make it a general rule and say don't drop the foot lower than a foot off the ground. If it's 4 feet off the ground, that's fine. The thing that's giving you the hip openness here is by pressing out through the heel and pressing out through the back of the knee. It doesn't really matter where the leg falls as far as the angle that you're creating. It's more just about doing those two things, pressing out through the back of the knee, pressing out through the heel. As long as you're doing that, you'll feel the space once you settle and relax into the pose. The PUP is being very quiet today, right? Yeah, she was a bit of a mess last week. I think the rain makes her have seasonal affective disorder. She's been a little bit calmer since we changed the clocks and a little bit less rambunctious, but she's like literally right here in her special place, and she's being silly. Alright, swing the leg up to center. Take one strap in each hand, pull down. So you're grounding that femur back into the socket where it's supposed to be, but you're allowing it to settle in a way that it isn't smushed and tight and really uncomfortable. It's settling softly, just the way it's supposed to be. That's exactly what you want to happen. And then bring your leg down long in front of you. Put your strap to the side. Close your eyes. And take a minute to appreciate how nice your hips feel, as well as to thank yourself for taking some time out of your day, out of your schedule to play and practice a little bit of yoga and do something good for yourself, right? Find your breath here. Play around with your breath a little bit. I mentioned this, I think, a couple weeks ago, but I didn't really revisit it because I'm still deciding where I stand on it. But I've been playing around with my breath a lot. I think because I've always done cardio. I've always walked or jogged or done something like that. But because of quarantine and COVID and the pandemic, I have more time for that stuff. You know, like our school schedule is not as crazy. I'm not teaching, in 4 different places during the week in the mornings, and life is a little calmer. So I can go and take a 5-minute walk, a 5-mile walk in the morning at 7 and still be home to get the day started with the boys. So I think for me, I've been playing around with different types of breath that are not just yoga breathing, but are also just in general cardio breathing. Sometimes I jog 2 miles out of the 5, or sometimes I'm just walking up a really, really crazy steep hill, like Little Falls Road, like all those hills that go up to Ridge. And so I've been playing around with inhaling through my nose like I normally would, and then exhaling out of my mouth. And for yoga, I've always done inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. But there's nothing wrong with playing around a little and trying something new and seeing if that works for you. So while you're laying here, maybe switch your breath up. If you normally do in and out through the nose, like I normally would, try exhaling out of your mouth instead. If you normally exhale out of your mouth, then try just doing inhaling and exhaling through your nose. And just see how it makes you feel. It's not just about your breath and breathing, but it's about the overall feeling that you get through your whole body from how you're breathing. And just in general, how it makes you feel. You know, we breathe in yoga and we do breath work with the intention of moving on the breath very often and kind of providing transportation to move through our poses and link our breath and our asana together. But we also do it to calm ourselves down. We do it to relax our central nervous system. If we've got any kind of blood pressure issues, it can be extremely helpful in regulating and lowering your blood pressure. So your breath is something that you want to think about when you're practicing, and not think about it to the point of making you nuts, but just think about it to the point of being open to trying new ways. How's that sound? Sounds okay, right? Let your mind wander for just a minute here, not focusing or thinking about any one thing for too long, but just being really present in this moment. Ready, start to wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit and bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position, whatever that may be for you. Hands come to your heart in prayer. Press your palms into one another, let the elbows lift a little naturally. Press the backs of your thumbs into your breastplate. Close your eyes if they're not and take a nice deep breath in. Exhale the breath. Once again, inhale and exhale. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me for another little practice together. Number 58. The sun is out. I hope that means the weekend is going to be really nice and dry. I think we could use some dry. I hope this practice was what you needed. And if you need more, then lay on your mat. Don't get up. Lay on your mat and play a little bit more, right? You're your best teacher because you know exactly how your body's feeling. So just move in any way that feels good. Anything you remember, anything you've seen on a video from me or from anyone else, just move until you hit the spot and it feels good. That's what I do sometimes. So have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.